Hi, this is the Lincoln Journal Star Editorial Board endorsement interview with Sarah Slattery. She is a candidate for the legislature in District 2. So Sarah, thanks a bunch for being here. You will get to answer some questions from me. I'm Dave Bundy, the editor, and Kent, you're going to be asking some questions. So why don't you say who you are too?
Yeah, I'm Kent Walgamot, and I write about arts and entertainment, and I have been on the editorial board for over a decade. So we're ready to go, I guess.
All right. So, Sarah, to start off, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, why you want to serve in the legislature, and what experiences and attributes qualify you for it. And if that sounds familiar, you answered the same question in the spring. Sorry about that.
That's all right. Yeah, my name is Sarah Slattery. I am the working class candidate in my race. That's kind of been my motivation to run. There's not a lot of representation for working folks in the legislature, and we can discuss that in a little while, why it's kind of set up that way to keep regular folks out. And I think it's time that we get some representation. So I am a single mom. I am a professional chef. I opened a family business with my folks 15 years ago. It's called Slattery Vintage Estates Vineyard and Tasting Room. We're kind of an agritourism, glamping, wedding venue destination that's right in the heart of LD2 in the middle of Cass County. And I'm the chef there. I recently resigned my position as the school nutrition director at my daughter's small Catholic school in Plattsmouth at the end of last school year, so I could focus on this campaign and try to feed all the kids in Nebraska the same way that I was feeding the kids at that little school. And that's at the school that I went to. It's the school that my dad went to, kind of a legacy thing. So I think that that's super important. I love that school and I miss feeding the kids. But hopefully I can get in there and make some changes to help bring good quality, nutritious meals to all the kids at little to no cost. That's kind of one of my goals. So I guess that's it.
All right. Well, so ours is feels like a divided state. It's a divided nation. You obviously come with certain political views and priorities. How do you represent, or are you even, do you even try to represent constituents who see things differently from you?
Absolutely. And I think that in talking with my constituents at events and at doors and via text conference, all of these things, I keep getting the same response that people are really sick of this hyper partisanship and this my team and your team. We're all in the same team. We're all Nebraskans, and we need to start legislating in ways that are helpful to everyday Nebraskans. Because when the powers that be are super divided the way that they have been, nothing really gets done because they're just blocking what the other team's trying to do, and that is not productive. And it's everyday working families that suffer. I think I have more in common with a lot of my constituents, regardless of political affiliation, because of my socioeconomic status. And I think that we need to get back to realizing that that's the same team that we're on. We need to try and make our lives better and easier. For instance, that tax relief package that they passed last session did absolutely nothing to help anybody that makes less than $250,000. Well, that's most people. So, when engaging with my constituents, I like to let them know that that's what we're fighting for. We're fighting for, I'm fighting for all of us. And yeah, I don't care what your political affiliation is. You deserve to thrive.
All right. So immigration is largely a federal issue, but we've spent a fair amount of time talking about it in the legislature, the governor's office. What can be done in Nebraska to address immigration issues, and what are the solutions or the priorities that you have as you try to figure out how to handle a contentious issue like this?
Well, I think that we need to make pathways to citizenship a lot more accessible. A lot of these folks that are undocumented, that are here, are in our factories, and they're doing work and they're participating in society, and we should allow them to participate fully. I think that we are doing an injustice by prohibiting people or deporting people that are here and want to work. We are facing a workforce shortage at a massive scale in this state, and to turn away people that want to come here and work, I don't think that that's very beneficial. So I think that, yeah, we need to do what we can to make it easier for these folks to become legitimate citizens and paying taxes, and because they're already valuable members of our society from a workforce in a diversity perspective.
All right. So accusations of voter fraud have kind of, cast doubt in some Americans on the election process. Sort of a multiple part question here. What would you do if you were pressured to play a role in overturning an election? And are more protections needed, whether they be voters' rights or vote security?
I wouldn't play any part in overturning an election. That is overturning the will of the people. In Nebraska, we have had safe and secure elections. We've never had an issue with it. We are a model for a lot of other states in how we do our elections. I don't think that anything needs to be done to change that. And this proposed voter ID ballot initiative, it first of all, requiring a state issued ID to vote is an unconstitutional poll tax. These IDs cost money. We can't make people pay money to get something so that they can vote. You can't you can't charge people money to vote. That's unconstitutional and yeah, against what we stand for. But furthermore, I mean, and this is, the entire thing is made to prohibit people from voting. It's not going to make it easier. It's not going to make it more fair. It's just going to keep people from voting, and then our elections will be less representative of the will of the people. But then also, so you have to take a piece of mail to the DMV to prove who you are to get an ID. So in theory, something from your county election commission, say your mail-in ballot, could serve as proof of who you are to get your ID, that they then want to force you to show to turn in the ballot that they mailed you at the address that they know you live. So it's kind of a circular, talking in circles, and none of it makes a whole lot of sense. And I don't think that that's an answer. They're trying to find a solution for a problem that doesn't exist.
All right. Sarah, you're flying through these questions. You may be setting our speed record. So
Sorry, if I'm going too fast, let me know.
no. I 30 minutes is the maximum, but I think studies have shown viewers are more than happy with shorter. So whatever you like. So next question. The Supreme Court has sort of put the abortion issue back into the states. Obviously, the legislature will be, it's clear the legislature will be addressing it. What are your views on prohibiting or limiting abortion, or continuing the open access that there is now?
Well, so the fact of the matter is, we already have legislation on the books that I think is appropriate. I believe that what happens in an examination room is between the patient and the doctor, regardless of what that decision is, but up to and including women and their reproductive health care. I think that this is a separation of church and state issue. Where trying to interject morals and Christian beliefs into state law is not something we should be doing. And to that end, we don't need to be spending time trying to re-legislate something that already is in the books, but we could bring forth other things that are inherently pro-life, like feeding kids lunch at school, or things like there was a disabilities folks with disabilities bill that failed to pass. And so helping the folks that are here that are suffering, I think is one of the most pro-life things that we can do as a legislature.
All right. I bet we asked you this before, and I'll bet you didn't change your mind, but I'll double check. Should the legislature scrap nonpartisanship?
No, absolutely not. I think that the fact that Nebraska has this really amazing and unique nonpartisan unicameral that is different than anywhere else in the country is just one of the things that make Nebraska so great. And in so doing, in the way it was designed, it has in the past helped get a lot more things done because they don't get jammed up with partisanship. We've seen the last few years that has kind of gone away, and we've gotten more divided. And I intend to work to bring that back. I think that, you know, people say working across the aisle. Well, in the legislature, there is not supposed to be an aisle, and we need to get back to that. And one thing that we can do to preserve the integrity of the nonpartisan legislature is to keep the secret ballot voting on legislative leadership positions, because you know, there's currently a sign on a pledge being circulated that says I will vote to overturn that, but that is such a clear partisan power grab that would only further divide the legislature and hurt everyday Nebraskans. And I think that anything that we can do to keep it as it is and get it back to how it was meant to be is something that we should go for.
All right, this is where I say I have one question left, and Kent leaps into the foreground of his screen, and he'll ask you, I don't know, 3 questions?
3 or 4.
Oh, okay.
You forgot this is a legislative question that not everybody else gets. As you, I'm sure, know, much of the work in the legislature gets done in committee, not on the floor. Have you given some thought as to what committees you'd want to be on if you got elected?
I have. I know that as a freshman senator, you don't really get a lot of choice in where you get put, but I definitely you know, have interest in education because that is a huge part of my platform. HHS is important. Judiciary. My dad has been the public defender here in Cass County for the last 30 years, and I've seen through his work the necessity to reevaluate some of these mandatory minimum sentencing things that have caused our prison overcrowding situation. So getting in there and trying to address, rather than building a new prison, but figure out ways that we can get this on a level that it should be, you know, through legislation and you know, helping folks assimilate back into society, helping folks with prevention programs or treatment courts and things like that, I think are really important. So that's one that it might be surprising because I'm not a lawyer, but my entire family is lawyers. I'm the chef. And then agriculture also is another one that I'm interested in because I have a very diverse district as far as we've got part of Lincoln. We've got some of these, we're adjacent to you know, Lincoln and Omaha. Most of the folks that live in LD2 commute to work, but we do still have some significant family farmers in this district, and their interests, the small family farmers are hurting these days. And so I would like to be able to help pass some stuff that'll help them out.
Just an aside, we could use more chefs and less lawyers.
I agree.
You may have answered most of this already in your last answer, but one of the specific issues I was going to ask about was whether you see there a need to build a new prison or replace the existing penitentiary, or both, or neither.
I think you know, doing repairs to an existing facility that are necessary is, yes, that, you know, I know that there are constantly like water main breaks and things going wrong with the building. Obviously, we need to give even our imprisoned folks a decent livable space. But I don't think that building a new prison is the answer. That's putting a Band-Aid on the problem that we have, which is the overcrowding epidemic, which is happening because we're locking people up for drug offenses instead of offering them treatment. We're, yeah, having these mandatory minimums that the legislature has decided is appropriate, where I think that a judge in their, you know, they have dedicated their lives to this profession, and they probably know a little bit better about what the appropriate punishment is for each individual case than a room full of lawmakers do. And yeah, and think about how much money that is. Think about, I don't even want to imagine how many school lunches the cost of a new prison is. It's, I mean, it's school lunch costs, you know, about $1.50. So think about it that way. How many kids could we feed instead of locking up people? And feeding the kids and giving them a solid foundation of education will help keep them out of prison in the long term. So yeah, there's a lot better solutions, I think, than just building a new building.
My second question is about the water projects that were sort of kind of approved. The last year, the canal out in southwest Nebraska and the big lake up by Ashland. What are your thoughts on those projects, whether they should go forward?
Well, have you seen the Platte River in the middle part of the state? Because it's not even a river anymore. I think we need to be figuring out those kind of issues before we put in a big recreational thing. We need to fix the problems that are happening that are hurting people's livelihoods. There's farmers out in the western part of the state that have like their crops are garbage this year because they don't have enough water. So if we're talking about water, we need to figure out how to get water that for consumption before we talk about water for fun.
And finally, the big one, that property tax and the tax structure and all of that. You know, we talk about property tax relief, but there's more to it than just, oh, let's move some money over that direction. What are your thoughts on what we can do about property taxes and the tax structure in the state?
Yeah, no, I got my hot pink card in the mail that has how much my taxes are going to go up and where I can go to the hearings. Yeah, no, like everyone else, I think our property taxes are outrageous. I think that the way we rely so heavily on them to fund our schools, both hurts, you know, Nebraskans, because we're paying the bulk of the education costs, but it also keeps these schools inequitably funded, right? If you're in a poorer neighborhood, your school's going to be poor. That's not okay. We need to fully and equitably fund all schools, and not via property taxes. The state needs to hold up their end of the TIOSA formula, because right now the state, you know, we are 49th in funding for our education, and in spite of that, our schools are 9th as far as quality of education. So yeah, the state needs to make an investment in these schools and these teachers the way it was meant to be, and not just make, yeah, regular people that have a house pay for the education and the salary for these teachers. And then looking into new revenue streams, like there was a proposed solar farm in outside of Murray in Cass County that would have brought $800,000 a year to the local school district, which is 125% of their annual budget. It would have allowed them to make much needed updates to the school, and some people decided to throw a stink about it. I don't really know why, and so that's kind of on hold. But in the meanwhile, that same school district, Conestoga, every year fails to pass a bond initiative for their school. So it's like, yeah, people don't want to pay more. They want their kids to have good quality education, but they don't want to have to pay. Like, you know, we need to find other sources of revenue, such as the taxes that would come off of a solar farm. And that's also, you know, a great source of renewable energy and helping us move in that direction. And yeah, no, I've got a lot of opinions, but yeah, raising property taxes is not it. That's not the answer to our problems.
All right, Kent, are you done?
I'm done.
All right. So, Sarah, the last question, again, probably a familiar one for you. What have we not asked you that you wished we would have?
I don't know. So I'm Yeah, I'm the lunch lady for legislature, which is that's my hashtag. That's school nutrition director is just a churched up name for a lunch lady. And that's my passion. I love feeding kids. I think that in this in running for this office, I think that I've been underestimated and overlooked because I'm just a regular person running for this. I don't have political experience, but I think that that is a breath of fresh air for a lot of people, and I'm hearing that a lot, that they want somebody that looks and has their same experiences representing them. So I intend to do that, and I think that my showing so far in all of this has proven that I've got the trust of a lot of people from my community. I've been an active member in my community my whole life. I've lived here my whole life, and yeah, I'm really excited to get in there and get to work and do things that will help my friends and neighbors and everybody in the state live the best good life that they possibly can.
All right. Well, Sarah, thank you very much for your time. We wish you the best. And with that, I think we're all done with our interview.
All right.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thanks a ton. Bye-bye.
Bye.